Hi, it's JamesAnimalHarrison. Talk about another snare drum for you. We're going to go way back in time with this one. There's a story behind it, but I won't get into all the details. First, let me say, somebody asked me a question. Like sometimes I look at the drum and I said I can't see it. There's a light on the video that shines, and every time I look away for a second, it takes my eyes a chance to adjust to something close. So that's why sometimes I can't read the badges or something like that. This particular drum, I stopped at Dorsey Music in Boise. This is back in probably the late 80s. And I saw this drum. This is an old Leedy, and it was just in awful shape. It was painted black over the badge and everything. But I recognized the shape of the badge as a Leedy and the lugs and whatnot. And I knew, you know, with the three-point strainer and whatnot, it was some kind of an old drum. I just didn't know that much about it. I was able to see inside the shell and see there was some numbers in there. Some of them were faded. I couldn't read it. I believe this drum is from the 40s. I'm not sure if it's a mahogany, a poplar, or a maple, or a combination of. And because the drum has been changed so much, it's hard to get that much information about it. I paid $30 for the drum. I took it home and I took some stripper of some kind, a light stripper, and took off the black, and there was some white under there that was messed up, so I think that's why they had painted it. I think the white was the original color. It was like a Duco paint. Anyway, I took it all off down to the wood and just stained it with a green because I like green, and kept it this way. But in the process of working on it, you know, you can see the hoop is bent there. It appears when I got into it, when I took these lugs off, that there were two separate holes for lugs. And looking at the drum, I see a what we call a reinforcement hoop on the inside of the top of the bottom, but on the top there's about a third of that reinforcement hoop. And so what I believe is this was probably a 6.5-inch shell that somebody probably damaged somehow and tried to cut the drum down, because the top bearing edge is not very even. It looks like it's all hand sanded, not very even. And that would make sense of why the holes are all off. And also, if you look at the badge with the air drum, you can see it's up a little up toward the top versus being right in the center of the drum, which is where I believe all the Leedy ones were. Anyway, that being said, since it was pretty messed up, I didn't want to put a lot of time and effort into it. I do like the fact that a lot of the old drums have a very mellow-ish wood tone to it, and I think that's why a lot of people treasure some of the vintage drums. Anyway, it's just some generic snappy type snares. It has actually of all heads on the bottom, it's a Ludwig resonant extra thin. I had never used it. The store had it sitting in the back, so I tried it. And it has an attack head on the top. And again, because I didn't want to put my best stuff on it, just because it had done that. I've used this actually on a couple of jazz gigs. It's been a while. It just sits on a shelf right now for display. I kind of consider this like a rescue, when people go to the animal shelter to get dogs instead of buying them from a pet store or online. This drum is one I consider a rescue. So it's workable, it's usable and whatnot. But anyway, it's a Leedy, approximately 6 inches, not quite. Again, no muffling of any kind. actually have another one I'm going to do in a minute, and like an idiot, I left it sitting sideways so I could actually hear it ringing from here. But okay, I'm going to take the Vader Buzzkill. It might be time to wash this one again. The problem with these buzzkills is I leave them laying out, and then they absorb the dust floating in the air. Okay, there it is with the gel on it to muffle it. Again, it's a jazz a drum that I've used primarily for jazz. Basic type of throw off, sticks up above the shell a little bit so you can turn it off with a stick, which is I think what these were designed for in the first place. I used to have a Broadway standard. I traded it to Gary at Force Drum Drop Closet years and years ago for some other snares because he was a collector. Vintage stuff. Anyway, I've ended up keeping this one, and that's as is. You can still see with the black paint on it where they had painted the bearing edges and everything. I didn't want to put any stripper on the bearing edges because I didn't want any glue, to get into the glue and have the plies separate and whatnot. So there it is, and again, whoever did what they did to it, they tried to cut it down. I'm blessed the fact that I found it for $30 and I've been able to turn it into a great working drum. So it's an old Leedy. I do have a couple of old Leedys, and I'm fascinated by the vintage drums. I have the books and all that kind of stuff on all of them. Anyway, again, the green, I came up with the green just because I wanted something unusual. So there you go. Great drum, actually. It sounds pretty good considering the bearing edge.